to be honest with you. In the House, we probably just forgot it. John Caldwell, Commissioner, Mississippi Northern District Transportation Commissioner. How are you, sir?
Doing well, Paul. Thanks for having me this morning.
I got a couple of things here having to do with travel. The President of the United States of America reopened its borders to foreign visitors for the first time since the pandemic began 20 months ago. It's one of the biggest signs yet that things are returning to normal, is what it says here, yada, yada, yada. Starting Monday, the U.S. will allow international traveling for the first time in nearly 600 days. Now, I'm a little perplexed on this one because the news at the beginning of the week and the end of last week was it's spiking pretty bad as far as COVID's concerned in China and in India. So why would he do this now? I have no earthly idea. And also,
I have no earthly idea what he does with anything.
And also the situation where truckers now apparently going to be let after the mandatory vaccine, and there are some other things happening that we'll try to get to a little bit later on.
I think probably some of that is a realization that we got to get this economy rolling.
Yeah.
And they've been pretending for a while that it's better than it is.
Well, he exacerbates every problem. It's not a solution. He just makes a problem worse.
I've never seen anybody fly by the seat of their pants in public like that.
You realize, and again I say this over and over, but it's true, if you had followed Joe Biden all the way through when you first heard the name Joe Biden, because he kind of went into private sector from private. Was he ever in the private sector? I mean, he's been a political animal all of his life, all the way through the Senate, and I think he was in another political office before that. I'm not sure. I don't care. All I know is that everything he's touched has always been a failure. He's never had any success at all. I think the only bills the guy passed in this whole time that he originated and passed were renaming some post offices. I kid you not. That's how bad it is.
And what's worse is we had nearly half the country vote for him.
Supposedly, but a lot of people will disagree with you on that, too.
I don't think most of the country voted for him, but I think nearly half.
The $1.2 trillion infrastructure package, the Magnolia State's award on this one is $4.46 billion. We can use that over the next 5 years. Let me give you a little bit. Roger Wicker and Benny Thompson were the only people to vote on this, by the way. Our Cindy Hyde-Smith didn't vote on it. The rest of the delegation in the House, Kelly and Palazzo and Guest, did not vote on this. And there's a lot of things in here people do not like. The dollars will come through grants from the U.S. Department of Transportation. We're supposed to get $3.3 billion for roads and bridges in the state of Mississippi. We are supposed to get water lines and pipes, and $429 million for that. Public transportation, which $223 million. What is, other than buses, what's public transportation?
That's pretty much it in the big scheme of things. Now there's some elderly travel that we provide. There's some public service transportation that's.
Like TANF? Wouldn't be on TANF or anything.
I'm just not schooled well enough to cover it. But there is there's some public transportation in Oxford and Starkville and Jackson.
I mean, we don't have control of our own rail lines here, so how would we use $223 million as far as public transportation? That's a lot of money. It's half of what we have in water lines and pipes.
Definitely not a priority in Mississippi.
I wouldn't think so. High-speed internet, $100 million, which is airports, $99 million, which is electric vehicle chargers, $51 million.
I see. There's a particular electric vehicle charger I stop at, grab a cup of coffee in Grenada, probably once a week. For the last 2 years, I've never seen anybody charge an electric vehicle.
How long does it take to charge them? Do you have any idea?
Depends on who you're talking to.
And it's also dependent on the vehicle.
It can be up to an hour and a half, but they're getting some superchargers out there that can do it in a matter of minutes.
Protection against the climate change and cyber attacks, they've put $35 million in here. Now, how are we going to use this, and what's your thoughts? Will we see this?
Well, the biggest misnomer out there is this: we're just going to be flooded in money. There's a lot of big numbers being thrown around. The 3.3 to 3.6 billion that's tagged around, that's 5 years. So you're looking at about $600 million a year. that's old and new money. If that was all new money, we'd be doing the happy dance with everybody else. But we're looking at old and new money combined, so we're probably looking at $200 million a year. That's good money, and we're glad to get some extra money, but it doesn't keep up with the last 12 years of inflation.
How much of that is old money?
About $400 million.
Okay, so $4.46 million is total, and about $400 million is already in the budget, already there.
Yes.
Okay. So do you have some problem? I mean, how do you get this? Because there are some rules and regulations on this thing that I was looking at, and it's not going to be as easy. I think they're going to keep this and delve it out as grants. Is that what it is?
That's a separate.
That's
pool,
separate
money.
This goes directly to.
And we're optimistic that the grant pool, which may have a lot of strings attached, would still be some additional money to go with that.
Do you execute those grants? I mean, do you have to write those RFPs for that, or does it come from the legislature?
We're trying to find that out, where the grant requisitions are going to be, and whether it's going to be locals requesting that, or whether we're going to request that, how much is going to be allocated for any local roads or state roads.
How proactive, and again, John Caldwell is my guest, Commissioner of Mississippi Northern District. John, how proactive do you have to be on this one? Because when we talk about 5 years, from the time that you get down and do the paperwork, and it's a long time before you get the final permission, here's the amount of money and here's the specification of how you can use it. That seems to take forever. Then you execute the contract. Then you go through the specifications on that one. I guess you would have to do an RFP. Then you select.
Being proactive is probably one of the greatest challenges in government in any factor, whether it's education or transportation. And certainly that is our challenge, because we're facing a world of, you mentioned electric vehicles already. Yeah. We're facing the automated vehicles, the unmanned vehicles that are traveling the roads, and maybe the airways. I mean, there's so many things that are facing our true, 10, 20-year future, that trying to be proactive when we're just trying to maintain and do maintenance on roads, trying to provide enough pay for our employees, trying to be proactive is a great challenge.
Can you use some of this? Because I had some people were commenting this morning on C Spire text line that you got some employees getting $10 an hour.
Pretty much. It's really pretty sad what we pay our employees, and
those are contract. There's not contract. Those are government. They're not government employees, are they?
Yes,
are they?
We're and when you take our employees' payroll and you realize that a big chunk of that comes into the PERS system, which is a great retirement system, but an employee that's making $24,000 a year, which is not much, loses a big portion of that to the retirement system as far as their take-home pay.
Yeah.
And when they're trying to feed their family, when they lose that little bit of take-home pay, it makes a big difference.
How many people do you have in that category? Do you have any idea?
It's just hundreds and hundreds.
Really?
Yes. We really need to do something about our personnel.
None of these dollars could be targeted for that?
Oh, yes. It's basic budget money. I mean, so some of this,
you could wrap that into public transportation?
If we do a payroll increase, it's going to come out of this money.
All right, we got more to talk about. I'll update on roads and bridges and some of the dollars that are already coming in, because we reached the $1 billion mark in sales from the lottery, and some of that money is going to transportation. Is it getting to the right places? We'll talk more with the Commissioner of the Northern District, John Caldwell, in what was a terrible thing to say.
If you can't say anything nice about somebody, just don't say anything.
I think I just did. John Caldwell, Commissioner, Northern District.
You don't want to be in the middle of this silliness.
Let's go back to a little clarification on paying employees and federal dollars.
Paul. I appreciate it. Before the staff up at MDOT gets in a meltdown, I do understand we won't be using federal money to pay our state employees, but it does give us some flexibility to move some money around and do some things. And it is one of our high priorities to try to get our payroll up.
All right. Tell me a little bit about the highway. I'm trying to answer some of the things on here. Seth has Highway 72 from east of Burnsville to the Alabama line.
It's on my list.
Is it got potholes in it or what?
Well, no, it's a concrete highway it's been a challenge to us to try to figure out what the solution would be without having to rubbleize the whole thing and go into
people always say, repair. Man, put them in concrete and they'll last forever.
Yeah, I tell them up there just jokingly that, it rides a lot better in a Cadillac Escalade, so if you just change your vehicle, it might help. But no, seriously, that road is rough, and it's a real challenge if you're driving a truck, commercial truck, or even a small truck pulling a trailer with a lawnmower on it. I mean, you're going to be thrown off the road just about. It's pretty bad. The engineers have found a possible solution that may be cost effective, and we're looking at the pros and cons of doing something with that within the next year.
I'm guessing this is patchwork, though. We're not talking about redoing it.
No, we're going to redo it. It's not patchwork. It's a major issue. I mean, they're not complaining for nothing. It's a real problem.
When you start getting some of those cracks and fissures and uneven concrete, it's worse than the pavement.
Well, and some of that concrete is done differently. I mean, Highway 49 going towards Helena's got a similar problem, but some of it's continuous, some of it's seam, some of it doesn't have a seam. It's it depends on when it went down, how it went down, and how we how we're able to go in and fix it is always just a little bit different from each stretch of road.
Do we have enough money as far as our visitor station? I was remarking to you when I came back in from Meridian from the North Carolina trip. I've never seen as many people at the visitor station, so apparently they are using them. Do we have enough money for that?
We could use some more, and I'll tell you where we really need some help is some of that truck parking.
Yes,
the truck parking at those visitor stations is
now more than ever because
short.
With the supply chain and these people being pushed, we saw more trucks on the road. We saw more people trying to get into visitor stations all the way into North Carolina and just parked on the side of the road. Couldn't get in, but they had to sleep somewhere.
Absolutely,
they had to pull over.
So we're aware of that, and we're working on it.
Can you ask you what the status is of Highway 15 4-lane project? And when is it going to be finished in Tippah County?
15 4-lane is one of the top of the priority list, and we've kind of done our homework, and we do have that project in place. There's a gap project between Ecru and New Albany on 15 that kind of makes it continuous, and then from that it goes into Tippah County towards Highway 72. So it's a
Is the right of way been bought, or is it taken care of?
Right of way's been bought on most of that, and it's ready to roll. Where we have a problem is we don't have the funds. Our funds have been flat for the last 12 years, and that's why when people start talking about federal money and we're getting $200 million a year doesn't get Highway 15 done because it's barely going to cover inflation. We need the state legislature to step up, and they've basically promised an infrastructure program, and I think Highway 15 is going to be the beneficiary of that. But the problem with Highway 15 is it kind of sucks the life out of the room and sucks the money out of the rest of the other projects.
How many miles are we talking about there that needs to be redone? I know I hit you with all these cold questions.
Yeah, it's a new highway all the way through the whole length of Tippah County. I mean, it's a several $100 million.
So
project.
this new highway coming in from where? Red Bay, Alabama.
Yes, that's a quarter V is what it's mostly commonly referred to.
That's a 4-lane.
Yes, it'll come in north of Fulton towards Red Bay, and it's basically to connect the Huntsville, Alabama Toyotas with Toyota and
I got it. When is the ribbon cutting going to be on that
Springs. Probably a year. I think next construction season they might get it finished. They are rolling ahead of schedule, so good work by Utah Construction. They've been really working
in your area of North Mississippi that you have Commissioner Northern District John Caldwell. Give us a little bit of a report on as far as the bridges are concerned. What do we look like in that area? Are we using some of the money from the?
We got the second round of ERBR money. It's getting ready to be released today.
ERBR stands
for
what?
Emergency Road and Bridge Relief Fund. We are encouraged that the legislature is seeing the success of that ERBR 1, ERBR 2. Now we're hoping the next session we'll get another one. Now that section, most of that is local roads. We do have some state highways included. But the local roads get the vast majority of those kind of funds.
I got it. So we've gotten additional dollars from the lottery. We've gotten some additional dollars from sports betting, and I guess also internet sales, and that money has gone to roads and bridges. Are you getting matching funds with that?
All right. All the internet sales and all that, that's not coming to us.
Oh, that's right. It's not coming to you.
That's all going to counties.
But the lottery is.
The lottery does come in. It's $80 million.
Up to $80 million.
It's capped at 80. So every year we do less and less with that same $80 million. So it's not indexed to go up with inflation.
Is there some talk of expanding that, but that would take it away from education? And
There's no talk about taking anything away from education.
there's no talk about increasing gasoline tax, or is there?
There's always talk about that, but it's not coming
Good
from the right
luck
people.
if you do that right now at $3.18 a gallon. All hell's going to break loose.
You know, there's one thing that government needs to do is take care of our state highways, and we can't do it with good looks and charm. I mean, it's going to take real money.
Well, just as a guy who has got to buy gasoline, I think we worry about being able to use the highway, not so much for potholes. Just do we have gas in the car?
I'm not promoting a fuel tax. I'm promoting funding for infrastructure, and funding for infrastructure can come from any mechanism.
I understand.
We're going to have a legislative day on that coming up in February 2nd and try to promote that. We started noticing that, you know, everybody comes out. The doctors come out in their smocks, and the nurses come out in nursing outfits, and educators come out and have a day at the Capitol. And we thought, well, you know what? We need to have a day at the Capitol and remind legislatures that, hey, we're trying to take care of these roads and do the best we can with what we got, but we're not getting any extra money, and we need more money.
One of the other things, too, is how you got employees retiring, longtime people with the Mississippi Department of Transportation.
Just got an announcement yesterday of a senior engineer, 31 years.
Are they being
away.
replaced? And it's from the unskilled all the way up to the engineers. It's got to be tougher now than it's been in a long time.
It's unbelievably tough. I mean, trying to share that on the radio and share our pain is almost impossible. I mean, we're losing employees, and no offense to the poor counties, but some of the poorest counties in Mississippi are stealing our state employees because they can pay more than we can.
Yep.
So we've got to come out of that state personnel board restrictions, and I know they're trying to do some things, and they've recognized that, but they didn't go near far enough because we can't get the employees.
Well, when you got to compete with, let's just say this morning on the Mississippi Employment Security Dashboard is 66,433 jobs that they have posted. When you got to compete with that, it's got to be tough.
And our work is hard work.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not telling them to come sit behind a desk. We're telling them we need you to come out and work. And so we're having a whole generation that's not their goal in life. So we need to change some of that.
How about Highway 30 between New Albany and Oxford? It is horrible.
Yes, that's pretty much a basic maintenance paving project, and we're definitely trying to get that done. It's scheduled for 2023. The encouragement is 2023 begins July 1st.
Also, Highway 7.
Highway 7.
Highway 7 has been a dangerous stretch all the way from Tennessee line all the way to Humphreys County. There we've had 4 fatalities in the last couple of months, 3 in Lafayette County, 1 in Marshall County. So, yeah, we're well aware of some of the challenges we have. Things like 7 is going to need some capacity improvements and try to add some lanes. That's hundreds of millions of dollars. The one on 30 that's mentioned is basically an overlay project, and we're going to get that done. But we need $400 million more a year just to catch up with our overlay. Every year from here on out. It's not one-time money we need. And that's why when you start talking about revenue, we just don't have it, and we need to find a way to get it.
John, thanks for the